The Talon Empire's warships filled the sky above Earth. Each ship was 5 miles long, black as space itself. When they first appeared, people screamed and ran. Some prayed, others stared in silence. The massive ships hovered over major cities around the world, casting dark shadows that turned day into night. Admiral Kang stood on the bridge of his command vessel. His gray skin reflected the blue glow of the screens around him. Through the large window, he looked down at Earth with cold eyes. This small planet would become the 18th conquest for the mighty Talon Empire. The thought pleased him. "Scan complete, Admiral," said Officer Park, bowing slightly. "Their technology is primitive. They have nuclear weapons, but nothing that can reach our ships. Their space program is basic. No unified planetary defense system." Kang nodded. He had expected this. Every new world was the same. Frightened, disorganized, easy to conquer. The Talon Empire had perfected the art of subjugation. First, show overwhelming force. Then demand surrender. Those who resisted were eliminated to set an example. Within months, the planet would become another productive colony. "Their communications are fragmented," continued Park. "Their nations still fight among themselves. Some are trying to contact us. Others are preparing to attack each other, believing this is a trick by their enemies." Kang laughed. "Typical primitives. Prepare the broadcast. Give them 48 hours to surrender." The usual terms. As the Talon fleet positioned itself around Earth, something unexpected was happening below. In Seoul, South Korea, deep underground, General Lee paced the floor of Earth's most secret military installation. Around him, soldiers and scientists worked at computer stations, monitoring the alien fleet. General Lee had fought in many wars, but nothing had prepared him for this. Yet his face showed no fear. He stopped pacing when the main door opened, and Dr. Kim entered. She was small in stature, but carried herself with confidence. Her reputation as Earth's most brilliant quantum physicist had earned her respect throughout the scientific community. "They're exactly where we predicted," Dr. Kim said, joining the general at the main display. The screen showed red dots representing each Talon ship. "Their deployment pattern matches our simulations." General Lee frowned. "There are more ships than we expected. 10 times our combined fleet." Dr. Kim smiled, pushing her glasses up. "Numbers aren't everything, General. Our advantage isn't quantity. It's knowledge. For 20 years, Earth had known this day would come. A crashed scout ship in the Arctic had provided both warning and opportunity. The ship's technology was beyond human understanding at first, but Dr. Kim and her international team had slowly unlocked its secrets. More importantly, they had kept the ship and everything they learned from it hidden from the Talon Empire. "The satellites?" asked General Lee. "In position," replied Dr. Kim. "They look like ordinary communication satellites to Talon scans, but each contains our special surprise." She turned to her assistant. "Activate protocol firewall." Around the world, other hidden facilities received the same command. Earth had prepared in secret for this invasion. While nations publicly fought over resources and politics, behind the scenes, they had united against the common threat they knew would eventually arrive. On the Talon command ship, Admiral Kang received confirmation that the broadcast was ready. He straightened his uniform and stood before the camera. The message would be translated and transmitted to every communication device on Earth. "People of Earth," he began, his voice deep and commanding. "I am Admiral Kang of the Talon Empire. Your planet is now under our control. Your technology cannot harm us. Your militaries cannot stop us. Surrender within 48 hours, and you will be allowed to live as productive subjects of the Empire. Resist, and your major cities will be destroyed as examples. Your leaders have 2 Earth days to come to our ships and pledge loyalty to the Emperor." The message played across television screens, radios, phones, and computers worldwide. Panic spread in many places. Some governments immediately considered surrender. Others called for unified resistance, despite knowing their weapons were useless against the alien technology. In the underground command center, General Lee watched the message with his team. When it finished, he turned to Dr. Kim. "It's time for our response." Dr. Kim nodded and pressed a button on her console. Their carefully prepared message would be sent directly to the Talon command ship. Admiral Kang was discussing invasion plans when Officer Park interrupted. "Sir, we're receiving a response already." Kang raised an eyebrow. "That was fast. Perhaps they're more sensible than most species we encounter." He smiled. "Play it." The message was simple, just 3 words. "We are ready." Admiral Kang stared at the screen, confused. This was not the frightened response he expected, not the begging for mercy, the promises of tribute, or even the empty threats he had grown accustomed to. "What does this mean?" he demanded. Officer Park looked nervous. "Unknown, sir. Perhaps a translation error." But deep inside, Admiral Kang felt something he hadn't experienced in many conquests. Uncertainty. There was something different about this planet, something in their confident response that didn't match their apparent level of development. "Launch scout ships," he ordered suddenly. "Full scan of their orbital systems. I want to know what they're hiding." As the first scout ships departed from the main fleet, Dr. Kim watched on her monitor and smiled. "They took the bait," she whispered. "Now they'll see what happens when you threaten a species that evolved on a death world." The trap was set. Earth's response had been truthful. They were indeed ready, and the Talon Empire was about to discover they had made a terrible mistake. The Talon scout ships moved with perfect precision, targeting Earth's satellite network. Their weapons flashed bright blue as they destroyed one satellite after another. Inside the lead scout ship, Captain June laughed as another satellite exploded into pieces. "These humans are even more primitive than we thought," he said to his weapons officer. "Their satellites have no shields, no defenses at all." Within an hour, the scouts had destroyed over 50 Earth satellites. Communication across the planet became spotty as television, phone, and internet signals were disrupted. Panic spread among civilian populations. Military commanders lost contact with their units. It seemed the first phase of the Talon invasion was working perfectly. Captain June sent his report to the main fleet. Earth's orbital defenses eliminated. They offered no resistance. Their technology is exactly as our scans showed, primitive and ineffective. On the Talon command ship, Admiral Kang received the report with satisfaction. He turned to Officer Park, who stood at attention nearby. "Prepare the main fleet to advance. The humans will see how hopeless their situation is," said Kang. "Once we position our ships over their major military installations, they will have no choice but to surrender." Officer Park bowed. "Their defenses are as weak as expected, sir. This conquest will bring great honor to your name." Kang smiled. 17 conquests had made him one of the most decorated admirals in Talon history. Earth would be a simple addition to his record. He watched on the main screen as the scout ships continued destroying the last few satellites. What neither Kang nor any Talon could detect was what happened each time a satellite was destroyed. As each satellite broke apart, it released an invisible cloud. Millions of nanites, machines smaller than a human cell, spread into space around Earth. They were so small that Talon sensors registered them as space dust, if they registered them at all. Deep underground in Seoul, Dr. Kim watched the destruction of the satellite network on her monitors. Unlike the panicking public, she and her team remained calm. Everything was going according to plan. "Nanite dispersal at 65%, reported a young technician. Dr. Kim nodded to her team. "They took the bait. Each destroyed satellite has released our nanite cloud. Begin Phase 2. Her chief engineer pressed a sequence of buttons on his console. Around the world, hidden transmitters activated, sending coded signals to the nanite cloud now surrounding Earth. The nanites began to change, connecting with each other, forming an invisible network around the planet. "Nanite mesh forming," reported the engineer. "Quantum link established." Dr. Kim smiled. "Activate the gravity lenses." In space, invisible to Talon sensors, The nanite cloud began to focus and bend the gravity field around Earth. 20 years of studying the crashed Talon ship had given humans one critical advantage. They understood Talon technology better than the Talons expected. They knew its weaknesses. Admiral Kang gave the order, and the main Talon fleet began to advance toward Earth. 100 massive warships moved in formation, their weapons ready. Kang stood proudly on the bridge of his command ship. Soon, Earth would join the growing list of Talon conquests. The fleet was halfway to their target positions when the first problems appeared. "Sir, I'm detecting power fluctuations," reported a Talon engineer. "Shield strength dropping on multiple ships." Kang frowned. "System malfunction. Run diagnostics." Before the engineer could respond, more reports flooded in. Weapons systems going offline on ships 3 through 17. Communications disrupted between fleet sections. Navigation systems failing. Admiral Kang stared at the main screen in disbelief as warning lights flashed across the displays. The perfect formation of his fleet was breaking apart as ships lost control of their systems. "Impossible," shouted Admiral Kang, slamming his fist on the command console. "Their technology is centuries behind ours. How can they affect our ships?" Officer Park checked multiple screens, his hands shaking. "Unknown, sir. There's no sign of weapons fire or energy weapons. Our systems are simply failing." Then something even stranger happened. Ships at the edge of the fleet began to drift off course. At first slowly, then faster. "Sir," Officer Park's voice trembled. "Our ships are being pulled into gravity wells that weren't there before." Kang rushed to the view screen. He watched in horror as 3 of his warships were pulled toward what appeared to be empty space. The ships fired their engines at maximum power, but couldn't break free from the invisible force. "That's impossible," Kang whispered. "Gravity manipulation at this level is beyond even our technology." In the underground command center, Dr. Kim and her team watched as their plan unfolded. The gravity lenses created by the nanite mesh were working perfectly, creating artificial gravity wells that trapped the Talon ships. At the same time, the nanites were interfering with the Talon technology, exploiting weaknesses they had discovered in the crashed ship. "The nanites are replicating and attaching to their hull surfaces," reported the chief engineer. "Talon shielding frequency compromised. Their weapon systems are being disabled one by one." General Lee had joined them, watching in amazement. "It's working even better than we hoped." Dr. Kim nodded. "The Talons made one fatal assumption. They judged us by our visible technology. They never considered that we might have been preparing for them in secret." On the Talon command ship, chaos reigned. Half the fleet was trapped in gravity wells they couldn't escape. The other half was dealing with cascading system failures. Ships that tried to retreat found their engines failing. "How is this possible?" Kang demanded, his face twisted with rage and fear. "Scan for energy signatures. Find the source of these attacks." "Sir," said Officer Park, his voice barely a whisper now, "I don't think these are attacks in the traditional sense. Something is affecting our technology itself, something we've never encountered before." Admiral Kang stared out at his once mighty fleet now helpless in space. For the first time in his career, he felt something unfamiliar, defeat approaching. The primitives had somehow outmaneuvered the greatest fleet in the Talon Empire. And this was only the beginning of Earth's response. On the far side of the moon, hidden from both Earth and Talon sensors, Captain Song strode through the underground lunar base. The base had been built in secret over 15 years, funded by a coalition of nations who knew this day would come. No satellites photographed its construction. No radio signals betrayed its existence. It was humanity's ultimate surprise. Captain Song entered the command center, where 50 of Earth's best pilots waited for her orders. The room fell silent as she stepped onto the platform. She was not tall, but her presence commanded respect. At 42, she had been chosen to lead this mission because of her exceptional flying skills and strategic mind. "The nanite defense has disabled the Talon fleet," she announced. "Now we strike." On the main screen, They could see the Talon ships struggling against invisible gravity wells. Some drifted helplessly. Others fired thrusters randomly, trying to break free. The enemy underestimated us, Captain Song told her pilots. They come from a world with 1/3 Earth's gravity. Their planet has stable weather, minimal natural disasters, and protective atmospheric layers that block radiation. They evolved in paradise. She paused, looking at each pilot in turn. We evolved on a high-gravity planet with extreme weather and radiation. Our bodies and minds adapted to survive constant threats, earthquakes, hurricanes, floods. These shaped us. We learned to overcome, to adapt, to survive against all odds. The pilots nodded. They understood what she meant. Humans had always faced challenges that forced them to innovate or die. Today we show them what humans can do, said Captain Song. Launch in 5 minutes. The pilots hurried to their ships, vessels unlike anything seen on Earth before. Each fighter was built using a combination of reverse-engineered Talon technology and human innovation. They weren't as large as Talon warships, but they were faster and more maneuverable, especially with human pilots who had trained in high-G conditions their entire lives. Deep within the lunar caverns, massive doors slid open. One by one, the Earth fighters launched from the hidden base, their engines nearly silent, using a propulsion system that didn't register on Talon scanners. Captain Song led the formation in her command ship. Remember your training, she said over the comm system. Their ships are vulnerable where the hull segments connect. Target those areas. Teams Alpha and Beta will board the command vessel. Teams Gamma and Delta focus on their weapons platforms. The Earth fighters approached the disabled Talon fleet from behind the moon, invisible until they were nearly upon them. When they finally appeared on Talon sensors, it was too late. Sir, unknown vessels approaching, shouted a Talon sensor operator on Admiral Kang's command ship. Kang rushed to the screen. Impossible. The humans have no space combat capability. But the evidence was right before his eyes. Dozens of small, agile ships swarmed around his disabled fleet. They moved with incredible speed, their pilots pulling maneuvers that would kill most Talon pilots due to the G-forces involved. Return fire, Kang ordered. Weapons still offline, sir, replied Officer Park, and our point defense systems aren't responding. Kang watched helplessly as the Earth fighters targeted specific points on his ships. They weren't trying to destroy the Talon vessels. They were disabling them completely. Unlike the Talons, who conquered through destruction, the humans seemed to have another plan. On the largest Talon ship, a hull breach alarm sounded. We've been boarded, a security officer reported. Humans in environmental suits. They've breached level 3. Kang couldn't believe what he was hearing. Activate internal defenses. Seal all compartments. But the internal systems were as compromised as the external ones. The nanites had infiltrated every aspect of Talon technology. Inside the Talon vessel, 20 human special forces soldiers moved with practiced precision. They wore exoskeletons that enhanced their already considerable Earth gravity strength. The lead soldier, Major Jin, communicated with hand signals as they secured corridor after corridor. When they encountered the first group of Talon soldiers, the difference became immediately clear. The Talons were tall and thin, adapted to their low-gravity world. Despite their advanced weapons, now disabled, they were physically no match for humans who had evolved on a planet with 3 times the gravity of the Talon homeworld. The human soldiers moved faster, hit harder, and demonstrated endurance that shocked the Talons. Even when outnumbered, the humans prevailed through sheer physical capability and adaptive tactics. Similar scenes played out across other boarded ships. Humans systematically captured Talon vessels, taking control of key systems and securing Talon crew members. The humans used non-lethal methods where possible, stunning weapons and restraints rather than deadly force. In his command ship, Admiral Kang received increasingly desperate reports as ship after ship fell to the human borders. Vessel 17 captured. Vessel 22 no longer responding. Vessel 5 reports all decks under human control. Kang stared at the tactical display in disbelief. Half his fleet was now dark, either completely disabled or under human control. His mighty invasion force, which had conquered 17 other worlds without serious resistance, was being systematically defeated by a species he had dismissed as primitive. "How is this possible?" he whispered. Officer Park looked at him with fear in his eyes. "Sir, should we surrender?" The word sent a shock through Kang's body. Surrender was not in the Talon military vocabulary. No Talon admiral had ever surrendered to a less advanced species. It would be the ultimate disgrace. "No," Kang said firmly. "Call for reinforcements." He activated the emergency quantum communicator, a device designed to work even if all other systems failed. It would send a faster-than-light distress call to the nearest Talon fleet. "This is Admiral Kang requesting immediate reinforcements at Earth. We are under attack. Repeat, we are under attack." The message went out, traveling instantaneously across space. But Kang didn't know that the humans had studied this technology too. They couldn't block his message, but they had prepared for this moment. On the lunar base, Dr. Kim received notification of the distress call. "They've called for help." "As expected," she told General Lee. The general nodded. "Then we proceed to Phase 4. As the human fighters and boarding parties continued their assault on the Talon fleet, Captain Song received new orders. "All teams, secure your objectives and prepare for Phase 4. The real test is about to begin." The battle for Earth was far from over, but humanity had landed the first decisive blow against an enemy that had never known defeat, and they were just getting started. The news reached the Talon homeworld 3 days after Admiral Kang sent his distress call. The Royal Palace, a massive structure of gleaming metal that towered over the capital city, fell silent as Emperor Min received the report. His golden robes seemed to dim as he processed the unthinkable information. "Impossible," he whispered, his long fingers gripping the armrests of his throne. "Admiral Kang has conquered 17 worlds without failure. How could primitive humans defeat his fleet?" The messenger, a high-ranking military officer, kept his head bowed. "The reports are confirmed, Your Majesty. 80% of our invasion fleet has been captured or disabled. The humans use technology we did not know they possessed." Emperor Min stood suddenly, his tall frame shaking with rage. "This cannot be allowed. No primitive species defies the Talon Empire and lives." He turned to his war council. "Send the Imperial Guard. Every ship we have. I want Earth reduced to ash." What Emperor Min didn't know was that his secure communication systems had been compromised. The Talon quantum network, once thought impenetrable, now had human eyes and ears within it. Every word he spoke was transmitted directly to Earth's Defense Command. But the bigger problem for the Talon Empire wasn't on Earth at all. It was on the 17 worlds they had conquered over the past century. On Proxima B, the third world conquered by the Talons, a mine worker named Drez watched a smuggled recording from Earth. The grainy footage showed Talon ships being captured by human forces. Drez had never seen Talon ships defeated before. No one had. "Play it again," he told his friend who had smuggled the recording. As they watched, more workers gathered around. By nightfall, hundreds had seen the footage. By the next day, thousands. The Talon overseers tried to stop the spread, but it was too late. In a hidden meeting cave, Drez addressed 200 fellow workers. "If humans can defeat them, so can we," he said, repeating the phrase that was spreading across the stars. Similar scenes played out on every conquered world. Species that had lived under Talon rule for generations suddenly saw hope. Resistance movements that had been small and secretive grew overnight. The myth of Talon invincibility was shattered. On Earth, Commander Han prepared for a mission unlike any in human history. A former diplomat before the invasion, she had been chosen to lead humanity's first contact with other worlds. She studied the data taken from captured Talon ships, learning about the 17 conquered planets and their native species. "We don't just need to defend Earth," she told the United Earth Council. "We need allies. The Talon Empire will return with a larger force. We must be ready." The Council approved her mission. Using captured and modified Talon ships, Commander Han and her team prepared to visit the nearest conquered world, Proxima B. They arrived during a massive worker revolt. The Talon garrison was overwhelmed by thousands of Proxima natives, inspired by Earth's resistance. When Commander Han's ship landed at the main settlement, she was greeted as a hero. "We come offering alliance," she told Drez and the other leaders. "Earth stands with Proxima against Talon oppression." Meanwhile, Dr. Kim and her science team worked day and night in laboratories around the world. The captured Talon ships provided invaluable information about their technology. While some scientists focused on defensive systems, Dr. Kim pursued a more ambitious goal. "Their entire weapons platform has a fundamental flaw," she explained to General Lee during a late-night session. "Their energy weapons rely on a specific type of particle acceleration. If we can create a field that disrupts that acceleration, their weapons become useless," finished General Lee. Dr. Kim nodded. "Exactly." 3 weeks of intense work followed. The best minds on Earth collaborated across borders that once divided them. Old enemies became partners with a common goal: survival against the coming Talon counterattack. Then, on a Tuesday morning, Dr. Kim entered the command center with a small device in her hand. It was simple-looking, just a metal box with a few buttons. "It works," she said simply. "We tested it on the captured Talon weapons, 100% effective at a range of 1,000 miles. General Lee stared at the small device. "That little thing can disable Talon weapons." Dr. Kim smiled. "This is just the controller. The real system requires satellites in specific orbits. But yes, once activated, it will render all Talon weapons useless within our solar system." The system was deployed just in time. Earth's long-range sensors, enhanced with Talon technology, detected a massive fleet approaching. The Talon Imperial Guard, led by Emperor Min himself. 300 warships, each larger and more powerful than those in Admiral Kang's fleet. Emperor Min stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as they approached the Earth system. "This time, we will show no mercy," he told his commanders. "The humans have earned complete destruction for their defiance." The Imperial Guard was the elite of the Talon military. They had never known defeat. Their ships were the most advanced in the Empire. Emperor Min had no doubt about the outcome. As they entered the solar system, the Emperor ordered, "Full weapons charge. Target their major cities first." Across the Imperial fleet, weapons officers activated their systems. But instead of the usual ready signals, error messages flashed across their screens. "Weapon systems are not responding, Your Majesty," reported the flagship's weapons officer. "Engines losing power," called another officer. Emperor Min stared in disbelief as his mighty fleet began to drift. On the main view screen, small Earth vessels appeared, moving toward them with purpose. "What is happening?" demanded the Emperor. No one could answer him. No one understood how the primitive humans had developed technology that could completely neutralize the most advanced Talon systems. What they couldn't see was the network of satellites surrounding Earth, each emitting Dr. Kim's disruption field. The field grew stronger as the Talon ships approached, not just disabling their weapons, but turning their own energy systems against them. On Earth, General Lee watched the approaching fleet grind to a halt. "Send the message," he ordered. A communication went out to the Imperial flagship. On his bridge, Emperor Min received the transmission with growing horror. It showed Admiral Kang, now a prisoner on Earth. "Your Majesty," said Kang, his voice heavy with defeat, "the humans are not what we thought. They have technology we don't understand, strategy we cannot counter. I advise immediate withdrawal." The Council approved her mission. Using captured and modified Talon ships, Commander Han and her team prepared to visit the nearest conquered world, Proxima B. They arrived during a massive worker revolt. The Talon garrison was overwhelmed by thousands of Proxima natives, inspired by Earth's resistance. When Commander Han's ship landed at the main settlement, she was greeted as a hero. "We come offering alliance," she told Drez and the other leaders. "Earth stands with Proxima against Talon oppression." Meanwhile, Dr. Kim and her science team worked day and night in laboratories around the world. The captured Talon ships provided invaluable information about their technology. While some scientists focused on defensive systems, Dr. Kim pursued a more ambitious goal. "Their entire weapons platform has a fundamental flaw," she explained to General Lee during a late-night session. "Their energy weapons rely on a specific type of particle acceleration. If we can create a field that disrupts that acceleration, their weapons become useless," finished General Lee. Dr. Kim nodded. "Exactly." 3 weeks of intense work followed. The best minds on Earth collaborated across borders that once divided them. Old enemies became partners with a common goal: survival against the coming Talon counterattack. Then, on a Tuesday morning, Dr. Kim entered the command center with a small device in her hand. It was simple-looking, just a metal box with a few buttons. "It works," she said simply. "We tested it on the captured Talon weapons, 100% effective at a range of 1,000 miles. General Lee stared at the small device. "That little thing can disable Talon weapons." Dr. Kim smiled. "This is just the controller. The real system requires satellites in specific orbits. But yes, once activated, it will render all Talon weapons useless within our solar system." The system was deployed just in time. Earth's long-range sensors, enhanced with Talon technology, detected a massive fleet approaching. The Talon Imperial Guard, led by Emperor Min himself. 300 warships, each larger and more powerful than those in Admiral Kang's fleet. Emperor Min stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching as they approached the Earth system. "This time, we will show no mercy," he told his commanders. "The humans have earned complete destruction for their defiance." The Imperial Guard was the elite of the Talon military. They had never known defeat. Their ships were the most advanced in the Empire. Emperor Min had no doubt about the outcome. As they entered the solar system, the Emperor ordered, "Full weapons charge. Target their major cities first." Across the Imperial fleet, weapons officers activated their systems. But instead of the usual ready signals, error messages flashed across their screens. "Weapon systems are not responding, Your Majesty," reported the flagship's weapons officer. "Engines losing power," called another officer. Emperor Min stared in disbelief as his mighty fleet began to drift. On the main view screen, small Earth vessels appeared, moving toward them with purpose. "What is happening?" demanded the Emperor. No one could answer him. No one understood how the primitive humans had developed technology that could completely neutralize the most advanced Talon systems. What they couldn't see was the network of satellites surrounding Earth, each emitting Dr. Kim's disruption field. The field grew stronger as the Talon ships approached, not just disabling their weapons, but turning their own energy systems against them. On Earth, General Lee watched the approaching fleet grind to a halt. "Send the message," he ordered. A communication went out to the Imperial flagship. On his bridge, Emperor Min received the transmission with growing horror. It showed Admiral Kang, now a prisoner on Earth. "Your Majesty," said Kang, his voice heavy with defeat, "the humans are not what we thought. They have technology we don't understand, strategy we cannot counter. I advise immediate withdrawal." Emperor Min's hands shook as he realized the truth. The mighty Talon Empire, which had spread across the stars through fear and superior force, had finally met its match. A species they had dismissed as primitive had outsmarted them at every turn. And as reports flooded in from across his empire about growing rebellions on every conquered world, Emperor Min faced the beginning of the end of everything he had built. Admiral Kang sat by the window of his comfortable room. The humans called it a cell, but it was nicer than many quarters he had lived in during his military career. He had a bed, books, a desk, and a view of the ocean. They even allowed him to walk in the garden each day, though always with guards nearby. 6 months had passed since the failed invasion. 6 months since Emperor Min had surrendered. 6 months since the mighty Talon Empire had begun to fall apart. Kang watched the waves crash against the shore. Earth was a beautiful planet, wilder and more dynamic than his homeworld. No wonder its people were so resourceful and strong. They had evolved on a planet that constantly challenged them. The door opened, and General Lee entered. Kang had come to know the human well during their weekly conversations. At first, Kang had been suspicious, believing these talks were meant to extract information. But over time, he realized the general was genuinely interested in understanding the Talon culture, just as Kang had grown curious about humans. "Admiral," said General Lee with a small bow of respect. "How are you today?" Kang returned the gesture. "I am well, General. I've been watching your ocean. We have nothing like it on my world. Our seas are calm and shallow." General Lee joined him at the window. "Perhaps that explains the difference between our peoples. We grew up fighting against nature. You conquered a gentler world." They stood in silence for a moment. Then Kang asked the question that had troubled him for months. "You could have destroyed us all," he said to General Lee. "Your technology clearly surpassed ours, despite our beliefs. Why didn't you eliminate us when you had the chance? That is what we would have done." General Lee considered his answer carefully. "Because domination was never our goal," replied the general. "We only wanted to be left alone. When that wasn't possible, we defended ourselves. But humans learned long ago that destroying your enemy only creates new enemies." Kang nodded slowly. This concept was foreign to Talon military doctrine, which taught that total victory required total subjugation or elimination of opponents. Yet he could not argue with the results of the human approach. "Your people are establishing a new council?" he asked. "Yes," said General Lee. "Representatives from Earth and all former Talon worlds will meet next month to formalize our alliance. Your people have been invited to send representatives as well." Kang looked surprised. "After everything we did." "Especially after everything you did," said General Lee. "Peace that excludes former enemies isn't true peace. It's just a pause before the next war." As General Lee left, Kang returned to the window. Perhaps, he thought, there was wisdom in this human approach after all. Across the galaxy, the aftermath of the Talon defeat continued to reshape political landscapes. On 17 worlds, species that had lived under Talon rule for generations were learning to govern themselves again. Earth sent advisors, not rulers, to each planet. They offered technology, medicine, and defense, asking only for friendship in return. In the former Talon throne room, now converted into a meeting hall, representatives from 6 formerly conquered worlds gathered. Commander Han sat among them, listening more than speaking. "The humans have provided us with shield technology to protect our major cities," said Dres from Proxima B. "But they ask nothing in payment. They helped us rebuild our water purification systems," added a representative from Vega Prime. "Our children are healthy for the first time in 3 generations." "Can we trust them?" asked another delegate. "Perhaps they simply wish to replace the Talons as our masters."